Cafe Networking, the podcast to connect and promote entrepreneurs and business experts. I'm Tom Jacque, an American known as the King of Networking, connecting people and speaking from my studio in Campinas, São Paulo, Brazil. Today we're going to talk to Andre Gress, and he's joining us from Aldergrove in British Columbia, Canada. Andre Gress is a creative writing specialist and has written everything from screenplays to novels. Andre is a deep believer in the power that a story can have on someone. He is author of two recent books, the first, Boone and Jacque, Saddleton's Secret, and the second book, Boone and Jacque, The Brothers' Odyssey, published in October 2020. Both are installments of an urban fantasy fiction series and are available on Amazon. So with that, Andre, welcome to Cafe Networking Podcast.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Well, Andre, you're in the middle of your third book that I've seen, and many people have a problem writing the first one, myself included. Does a third book become easier?
I thought a lot about that question, and I thought about Stephen King's quote, which is that you could write 1,000,000 words before coming up with something substantial. And obviously, that was a little note to novice writers to be patient with their craft. But honestly, the answer is when life gets interesting and you practice your writing more, writing becomes easier because then you're able to put more into your craft and more interesting scenes. And is really important because then you include diversity, inclusivity, and way more characters and scenes that makes each character have a purpose for the story.
Now, when you started and you had the idea of the series, you had the idea of a book. Was the book idea a series? You already knew that you would be writing several books?
Yeah, actually, even before I thought of writing novels, I've always wanted to come up with a series, whether it's fantasy or fiction. I just didn't know what it was going to be exactly. And that's what I mean by life becoming more interesting. I didn't have enough life experience to come up with a series. So that's why time was, a blessing in disguise before I even started doing that.
Well, I guess that comes from your screenplay experience, right? Because today screenplays
Yeah.
generally are series. They're
hmm
many episodes, one after the other. So you've had that practice, right?
Yeah, for I think a year or two, I tried to be a screenwriter. I did get to work with directors and producers. The only thing is because there's so many, you have to really shine. You have to
Right.
really as a screenwriter. It's not just being good at what you're doing;
hmm
it's standing out.
Well, now you've written this. It's an urban fantasy,
Yeah.
uh, and it's a fiction series. Uh,
Mm.
have you already defined how many books are going to be in this series? Or is it just going to be stepping forward and seeing what happens?
The important thing for me in writing is the character arc done for the main character. So putting a number on a series to me is kind of counterproductive
hmm
because then you're boxing in where your character is going to grow or not grow. So let's take the series Shadow and Bone, the trilogy from Leigh Bardugo. You have to really, be certain of where you want your characters to grow.
and that's exactly what you're doing because the beginning title of everything is Boone and Jacque, right? And
Yeah.
what you're doing, you are growing, your series is growing with them.
So in terms of numbers, three is the cap to their youth,
hmm
and then books through four through let's say seven is going to be their adulthood. Is what I'm going to be focusing on for that second half.
So always something to read and always something to follow. So when will this be available? And will it be available on Amazon?
For the third book, I'm hoping for the end of the year.
Good. So well, you're already writing or you have written it already.
Manuscript is done. Just a couple more final details to go, and then it should be ready.
So you're already thinking about number four, I guess.
What I did to kind of tease my readers is I did a 15 years later epilogue
hmm
in which I show the first scene of the new worlds that I created for book four, so that they kind of they're embraced and ready to go
Future
for a new
thinking,
adventure.
right?
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Andrea, thanks for your conversation. How can people find you? What's the best way?
The best way is on Facebook on my author page through my pen name A.G. Flitcher,
A.G.
because
Flitcher.
A.G. Flitcher, Flitcher, and my first initials, A.G. On there, if you read my books and something makes you want to ask me a question, I do have my personal email on there, agress@shaw.ca, because I am welcome to answer all your questions, whether you like something or didn't like it. I like to explain things to people because I want them to be happy.
Very good. And also then, so thanks again for your conversation and success in your writing.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I want to remember and remind all of our listeners that you can find more information besides that. You can find Andre Gress, and that's Andre. The last name is Gress on LinkedIn. And the Boone and Jacque books, and that's Boone, Boone, and Jacque, Jaque. Those books are on the Amazon website. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil, and more information on their website, focusmi.com. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here on Cafe and Networking Podcast.